So this is a dance class, her first dance class.
Yeah, we're having a conversation. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mix 104.1. This is my friend Kerri Tabasky, who I used to work with. And we're going to talk about her, and we're going to talk about what she's doing now. We're going to talk in particular about the adventures of her daughter, Anna, who's an amazing little girl. And I'm watching the video right now. Kerri, welcome back to Mix 104.1.
Thank you, Mike. It's good to be back.
It is a pleasure to have you here. I'm watching the fabulous dance that Anna is doing here in her class. And before we talk about why we're talking about Anna, just tell me about the fact that this is her first. How old is Anna now?
She's almost 3.5.
All right, so she's 3.5, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It's been such a crazy last 3.5 years since she was born, and this video in particular.
It's great stuff. Ballet. She's doing ballet. She dancing with a flower.
Yeah.
She's she's parrying like a sword.
Well,
she's very expressive.
This was her first class. This was the first time that she did a class without mommy being in the class with her, and they had to take turns and dance with the flower, and everyone else watched, and she did phenomenal. She didn't want to give up her turn. She just was not shy.
And in case you're wondering why we're talking about a little girl doing her first dance class without mom, it just so happens that, look, everyone in the world has challenges.
Correct.
There isn't one of us who does not. Anna's happens to be that she has Down syndrome. Does it stop her? Nope. Does it define her? Nope. Nothing. She's an amazing little girl.
That's exactly the way that we feel about it. Actually, when Anna was born and we sent out her birth announcement, we said, by the way, Anna happens to have Down syndrome, because it doesn't define who Anna is. It makes her part of who she is, but it doesn't define her. It doesn't limit her. She is just like any other child with interests, with likes, dislikes. She wants what she wants when she wants it. She's a very strong-willed.
Well, that's just it. One of the things I noticed about the video as I'm watching it, both my daughters, Olivia and Catherine, were in dance, and they were very shy kids. They didn't want to get up and dance. Not Anna. She wanted to show the world what she wanted to do, and to watch her, as I'm watching that video, it never once did it occur to me that as I'm watching a little girl who happens to have Downs, I was watching a little girl who was expressive and joyful and dancing, and it never even occurred to me while I'm watching. Now that we're talking again, I'm like, oh yeah, this is about what's happening. And before we go further, we should let everyone know that this year's annual walk it's the Buddy Walk. It's happening on it's the 15th annual, 15 years of this.
15th annual Buddy Walk.
We like this. It's happening October 9th. Is that a Saturday or Sunday?
It's a Sunday.
Sunday at the greatest spot on earth, Lake Quannapowitt. That's where I learned to run again, and that lake helped me lose 40 pounds. So I love that lake. It's a great spiritual spot. This is all happening on the 15th, again, the 15th annual on October the 9th. We want to get you to get information. So here's the website I want you to go to, mdsc.kinterra.org. Right?
Yes.
So that's the spot you can get to. You can find out all about the Buddy Walk, and you can find out... as I mentioned, I just made the donation.
Thank you.
To
Thank you
your
very
efforts.
Much. Team
fundraising.
Tabasky.
Team Tabasky is the one.
Yeah.
So tell me about why the organization you're working with. This is the Mass Down Syndrome Congress.
Yes, it's the Massachusetts Down Syndrome Congress. It's the MDSC. And what it does is it provides resources for families, for new families, families who have children, of all ages. And there's a first call program that they have for new parents and expecting parents. A lot of parents find out prenatally that they are having a baby with Down syndrome. And what the MDSC does is it provides a community. It makes you feel that there are resources out there, that it gives you an educated opportunity to make an educated decision about, if you find out prenatally, what you want to do. It lets you know that you're not alone, that there are plenty of other families out there that are going through the same thing. And what I have learned from the MDSC, because I didn't know before Anna was born that she had Down syndrome.
Which is one of the things, there's a lot of questions that we probably will ask later on, where suddenly new testing can let people know way early, and it creates a number of amazingly deep moral questions which are beyond belief.
It does. And my thing about that is that I don't want to tell anybody what to do. Everyone has the right to make their own choices. However, what we want is for them to be able to make an educated decision and an educated choice. And I feel as though, and we feel as though, that there are not there's not a lot of updated information that the doctors have about children with Down syndrome. I didn't know anything before Anna was born.
Well, that makes sense, and this is one of the things. And again, what we just brought up is the fact that there have been some breakthroughs where testing can be done, and you can find out very, very early in a pregnancy about any genetic disorders. If there's a predisposition to Down syndrome for the child, there's a number of things, and the question then becomes, are people just going to selectively decide not to keep a pregnancy simply because? Is it because of what their perception is of Down syndrome rather than really understanding what it's all about? I mean, as we mentioned earlier, every kid I wish I had $1 for every person who had a perfectly healthy child on paper and then something developed, and you never know. You never know what gift is going to come with your child. You never know what challenges will come with any child. I mean, let's talk about you. The moment you found out, here you go. You don't even have any implication. You already have 2 daughters or
yes,
2 children.
Typical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Healthy children.
Everything normal is going, and all of a sudden, what happens?
When Anna was born, there were suspicions that she had Down syndrome, and the doctor, who was not my regular OB, actually said to me within minutes after Anna was born, she said, "Did you have your testing done?" And like it even mattered at that point. And so she treated it like it was this horrible tragedy. And instead of saying, "Congratulations, you have this baby and she's yours and you're going to get through this, and it's not what you expected or planned, but here she is." And we didn't know how to react based on her reaction.
Right.
Now I just feel as though Anna has just enriched our lives more than we could have ever expected. And 3.5 years ago, if someone said that to me, I would have said, "But that's you. This isn't me. My life has just changed. It's just not what I wanted. It's not what I planned." And now 3.5 years later, that child is just the world to me. She is absolutely amazing. And I've learned so much from her, and I appreciate the little things, and I appreciate her little accomplishments every day, because it just makes you stop and think about things. And
well, it's amazing that you what you just said, because everybody has on paper, these are the perceptions I have for what I want for my child. These are the key dates that I expect to have with my child. Here's the things I want to walk down the aisle. I want to see my daughter graduate. Check, 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 check. And all of a sudden, everything changes. But everything's going to change anyway. Right. No one has what they have on paper the day the child is born.
But that's what our first thoughts, and I know that my husband and I had the same things going through our head the minute we found out that she could have Down syndrome, was, is she ever going to get married? Is she ever going to move out of the house? Is she ever going to date? Is she ever going to go to college? Yeah. And we actually went to a geneticist who had totally outdated information a week after she was born, and she mapped out Anna's entire life. And, not everybody is going to go to Harvard. I could never get into Harvard.
I couldn't go.
Not everyone is going to be an Olympic athlete.
It's true.
I mean, some people say to me, because Anna is very high functioning, and some people say, "Does she have a mild case of Down syndrome? She must be a mild case." And, it's not a case.
Right.
This is something that just makes her part of who she is. And just like any other child, my 2 older daughters are so different from each other, down to the food that they like, the interests that they have. Every child is different. They have there's a learning curve. There's a developmental curve.
As
Anna,
my wife and I have always said, same factory, different models.
Right.
Yeah.
I just, Anna, she walked. She didn't walk until she was almost 2.5. But when she started walking,
she looks like she's caught up pretty well.
She is running. I cannot keep up with that child. She's amazing, and she'll go and she just wants to sit at the piano and play the piano and make up songs, and she sings at the top of her lungs.
It's amazing.
And but I didn't know any of this when she was born. I had no idea that what capabilities she would have.
It's interesting that you bring this up, because as a parent, and you were dealing with professionals, and you were getting outdated information, you were getting alarmist information, you were getting stuff that set you off in a path which you didn't deserve, clearly Anna didn't deserve. Everything that you got or from people, which it just illustrates this point that the Mass Down Syndrome Congress is trying to alleviate. There's info that people need.
Yes,
Do not assume you know what's up.
Right. I mean, I did not know anything. I didn't really know anyone with Down syndrome. When we were growing up and going to school, we didn't, it was very separated.
Yeah.
Anna's now in an integrated preschool.
Wonderful.
I just found out they did an assessment yesterday in her class, and she knew all of her letters of the alphabet. She could identify every single letter of the alphabet.
My son didn't know that. I mean, my son's had some challenges. We've had him in special ed. Everybody has challenges.
Yeah.
The fact that at 3.5, she knows her letters, she knows her colors, she knows her numbers, she counts to 20. She's really?
Yeah. Oh, all
right, so at 3.5, stick that in your pipe and smoke it, those who think they know what's going on.
Well, because what I would do is every time we go up and down the stairs, we would count. And she just remembered how to count.
Well, let's think about you for a second.
Yeah.
You're not second place in anything, are you?
Yes, I am. Mike, you are just way too...
No, look, I know you, and I it's often said that no one's given more than they can handle. Knowing who you are, you're an unbelievably perfect person to raise a child who can maximize what they can do. Because you don't want to settle for less than 100%. And why would she?
Right. And there are many, many families who have children with Down syndrome who just do a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
I think everybody does. They take it and they run with it, and there are so many resources now for us. I mean, without the MDSC, I think I would have felt very alone. I wouldn't have known, without the buddy walk, when we did the buddy walk the first year, that was the first time I had seen all these kids that were just like Anna, and they're all running around and playing and feeding themselves and eating. And I was surprised the first time Anna was a few months old, and I met a mom with her 3-year-old, and the 3-year-old was feeding herself. This is how much I did not know before Anna was born. And I was like, she can feed herself? She was just taking Cheerios out of a cup or something. I mean, now that's like second nature. Anna eats with a fork and spoon, and she feeds herself a bowl of cereal, and she's fine. And not every child, just like typical kids, not every child does this. My 6-year-old Maya still eats with her hands. That's her preference. And every child is different, whether or not they have Down syndrome. So, but the whole point, and the point of the Buddy Walk, is to bring these families together, to create awareness for Down syndrome, to celebrate these kids and these individuals, these adults, that are now everybody who's from a baby to however old they are. It's just we celebrate these people because they're amazing individuals, and we want people to know they're just like everybody else. There's such a spectrum of everyone's interests, whether or not you have Down syndrome or anything else.
Everybody has challenges. What those challenges are doesn't define it. How we deal with them and how we get around the challenges we have. Everybody's got a roadblock. I think what Anna is doing, I mean, when you showed me this, you never know what to expect. When I went to the website and I saw the picture of her in her tutu, I loved it. I'm like, she is like adorable. And you never once did I think, okay, how much Down syndrome do I? You don't even think it. You look at it and you say, beautiful child. You can feel the joy coming through that picture.
Yeah.
I'm watching this thing. You don't think of it for a second.
No.
You're like, look at this girl. She loves dancing. She doesn't want to sit down. She wants a second chance of running around that studio. And, and that's just it, And again, what we want to tell everybody about, and again, it's New England Lifestyles here at Mix 104.1. I'm Mike Mullaney. We're here with Kerri Tabasky. She of Team Tabasky. You can make donations if you go to mdsc.kintera.org and then / Team Tabasky, is that? Whatever it is. I think you just punch in the name, right?
Yes, just look for Team Tabasky and you can make a donation to Team